Welcome to High Ground. My name is Tanner, and today I'm going to be going over my predictions for the final play day of the final stage of NAL's 2022 season. So this is stage number 3, play day number 9. First, let's go over day number 8 results. So Space Station absolutely took Xset to task. They pretty well demolished them. Xset, let me double check it. It's just only one round coming off of, and Space Station going into this game off of a 7-0 over Beast Coast and a 7-2 over Astralis. They dropped 3 rounds over the course of 3 games. Space Station looking incredible, and Xset, they just didn't finish strong enough to make the major. They have been eliminated, and we'll talk about who can go to the major if you're not fully aware once we get to day 9 predictions. Probably I'll allude to it before then, but that was the first game, and I predicted that one correctly. Oxygen versus Dark Zero. Oxygen smoked Dark Zero, and I thought even if Dark Zero lost, which I thought was definitely a possibility with Oxygen seemingly on the comeback after their victory over the Sonics, I did go with Dark Zero because losing this game basically eliminated Dark Zero from the major. I don't know if it straight up did. By the end of the day, it was proven that they were unable to go. I can't remember if this actually eliminated them or not, but for all intents and purposes, it did. So I thought Dark Zero was going to play a little bit better with their backs against the wall, but no, they got 7-2'd by Oxygen, and so I got that one wrong. Sonics versus Astralis, also went with Sonics. I got this one wrong too. I don't think this is a very good day for my predictions. And no, I think I got 2 out of 5. What are you gonna do? It was a few crazy games. So Astralis, they complete the 3-0 over Sonics over the course of the year. No victories for Sonics, and 2 of them were actually pretty decisive wins on Skyscraper, a 7-1 in stage 1, and then a 7-3 in this game. So Astralis, they're making the comeback. They beat Xset 7-3, they beat Sonic 7-3, and if they beat Oxygen in regulation, they have a good chance of going. There is a result in this game that denies them from going, but it's pretty likely that Astralis' fate will be in their own hands. And so that was that game. Astralis beating Sonics on Skyscraper. And then we have TSM versus Parabellum. It was a victory for TSM. Parabellum, they've had some pretty close games, but they only have 8 points on the board. Hasn't been a phenomenal stage for them. They got off so hot, perfect first week in terms of points, but no, they've really fallen off since then. And TSM locked in. They're going to the major here and puts them in first place at the end of day number 8 and puts them into a battle for first place with Space Station in the next day. And then finally, Beast Coast versus Mirage. So yeah, this was kind of a little bit unexpected, a little bit wild. Beast Coast took down Mirage, and maybe not that wild because Mirage have proven themselves to be kind of chokers. So maybe they'll grow out of this. They are a new team, but right, they choked versus Space Station and Xset, and now Beast Coast. They were up 5-2, and then they went overtime, and then they lost in overtime. So got that one wrong as well. I think this puts me at like, I don't know what the exact percentage would be, but there have been 8 days, and I got 3. I am at like 22 out of 40, which isn't phenomenal, but maybe I think if I get a perfect 5 out of 5 on the last day, that would put me at exactly 60%. So we'll see. But let's talk about it. Okay, day number 9. TSM versus Space Station first game. The winner of this likely gets first place. If SSG wins in overtime, TSM will still get first place. So SSG needs to win in regulation, and TSM needs to at least go to overtime to secure first place for either of them. So Space Station's so hot in the last 3 games. Again, only losing 3 rounds over the course of 3 games. And TSM, they did win in regulation in their last 2 games, but they took a loss before that, I suppose, to Xset. So pretty similar last week's, of course, more dominant by Space Station, but still full 6 points for both of these teams. And I'm gonna go Space Station. I mean, of course they've been super hot recently, but you know, in the battle of TSM versus SSG, I always got to be on the side of SSG. It is what it is. I'll be rooting for them certainly, and I'm gonna predict them here. I don't think it is a foolish thing to do, but I fully expect TSM could win this game. Okay, Sonics versus Mirage. So these 2 teams are basically, or I don't know what I was about to say there. These 2 teams are playing effectively a win-in. It's still possible for the loser of this game to go to the major, but the winner will certainly go to the major. So yeah, I guess whoever loses, they might lose their spot to Astralis, unless I think if Sonics loses in overtime, then Astralis cannot go to the major. So they're definitely hoping for that to not be the case. But any other scenario, and I think Astralis can still make it to the major. So who's going to win this one? Sonics certainly have been better this stage. I guess they really fell off the last week. They lost Oxygen. They lost to Astralis, and those are actually the top 2 teams over the course of the year. Neither of them were amazing this stage, but Astralis was first place both stages. 1 and 2, and Oxygen was, I think, 2nd and 3rd. So they've both been very, very good up until the stage. And I mean, unfortunately for Sonics, in the back half of the stage, they both been pretty good. And Mirage, yeah, they've had some choking tendencies. They would easily be locked in for the major if they hadn't choked some of these games. You know, if they'd won versus SSG, Xset, Beast Coast, probably any of them. Just 2 more points would put them on. Let me just double check this standing. That would put them on 17, and then yeah, certainly they couldn't be passed by Astralis. So if they just won any of those games, then sorry, if they'd won any of those games in regulation, because they did get 1 point for losing in overtime, if they'd got the full 3 points, so 2 additional points, that would have been enough. And yeah, they were in a good position to do so in all of those games, but they did fail to do so. I think I'm going to go Sonics. So if there is ever a game to choke as a result of pressure, it is a win and in for the major, and certainly Sonics have proven themselves chokers, Mirage have proven themselves chokers, and I mean, maybe Sonics a little bit too. Of course, they had that game last stage versus Mirage, and now they're a little bit different roster, but still, I mean, you might say that losing to Oxygen and then Astralis, even if they're good teams, are sort of chokes, because either of those basically would have confirmed them for the major. So who is going to choke harder? And I don't mean to like talk bad about these teams like they're super chokers, but there's been a little bit of a pattern with each of them. I think Sonics should come out on top, but Mirage has proven a lot of people wrong this stage, so maybe they'll prove me wrong in the final playday and beat the Sonics. Oxygen versus Astralis. So Astralis is playing for a lot. They're playing to go to the major. Again, there's a result in the previous game that can eliminate them from going to the major, but most likely they'll be playing to go to the major. Oxygen basically locked in for SI. They're like 99%, and if they win this, probably they are locked in, but I guess I don't know that for certain. Astralis is locked into SI. Both of them also locked into NAL finals, if my math is right. Astralis definitely is. Unless I missed something, Oxygen should be also locked in to top 4 in NAL, and thus for the NAL finals. And Oxygen, yeah, can't go to the major. So really, Oxygen not playing for anything, and Astralis, again, playing to potentially go to the major. Now, will that benefit them, or will that hurt them? I mean, playing under pressure. It hasn't seemed like Astralis has been a team that cracks under pressure over the course of the last year. They seem to be pretty gritty and resilient. I mean, and maybe most notably, the fact that they came out on top of last stage, even though they didn't get off to a great start. And yeah, they needed certain results from other teams for that to happen. But they did end up in first place against all odds in stage number 2, as well as stage 1, but they were very dominant stage 1, only losing to Oxygen, actually, in that stage. My gut told me to pick Oxygen here. I don't know. I'm just going to go with them. They have nothing to really play for, and they haven't for a little while, of course, except for to potentially lock in SI, which they, I don't think they've 100% done. But, okay, they beat Sonics, they beat Dark Zero, and Astralis, they also beat Sonics, and they beat Xset, and Astralis actually dropped, I think, 6 rounds in last week. Oxygen dropped 7, so maybe Astralis were slightly better, but pretty comparable results. I'm just going to go with Oxygen here. I don't know why. That's just what my gut told me to pick. And then we have Parabellum versus Beast Coast. So these teams are playing for stone cold nothing. Neither of them can go to the major, neither of them can get enough points to qualify for SI, and neither of them can go to the NAL finals. So I guess Beast Coast can't even get out of last place, can they, for this stage? Maybe no, they can't, of course. They're on 3 points, Parabellum's on 8 points. Parabellum, of course, have been better this stage because they have a lot more points, but since the first week, I suppose Beast Coast have actually been better because they've gotten 3 points in after the first week, and Parabellum's only got 2. I'm gonna go with Parabellum though. I mean, just picking Beast Coast feels incorrect, and that's proven correct most of the times. Of course, finally they got the win over Mirage, and so I got one wrong there. But besides that, picking against Beast Coast has rewarded me in my pick rate. And then finally, we have Xset versus Dark Zero. So both of them eliminated from the major. Both of them overwhelmingly likely to go to SI. I guess they're not fully locked in, but they're basically going already. And then I think it depends on how the Space Station game goes. So if Space Station wins, it's probably just the winner of this game will go to the NAL finals. The loser will not. If Space Station loses their game, then both of these teams are already in the NAL finals, and this game doesn't matter at all. But okay, so I was sort of looking over the results, and they both had ups and downs. I think Xset's maybe had like 1 or 2 more bad losses, but they've maybe had 1 or 2 more good wins. Dark Zero had the player change early on in the stage, subbing out Hyper, bringing in in Skies, and then they went on a really hot streak after that, and now they've fallen off recently, and I don't know. I think I'm just going to go with Xset here. These two teams are dead even in terms of head-to-head over the course of this year. 7-5 victory for Xset in Stage 1, 7-5 victory for Dark Zero in Stage 2. I don't think they've played anywhere else, any majors or anything. And if you go back any farther than Stage 1, of course, Xset's a totally different team. So nothing else to really go off of. I'm going to go with Xset, though. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little bit more of an Xset believer than I am a Dark Zero believer. And maybe if Hyper had stuck out the stage and he played well, I might think differently. And I don't know. Maybe it shouldn't even affect it at all because, of course, Skies has played well. But for some reason, the team fell apart recently. They played a little bit better than Xset, or at least won a few more rounds. Xset only winning 4 rounds in the last week, whereas Oxygen or Dark Zero won 6, 2 in this game and 4 in this game. So that's something to go off of. But I don't know. I just got a feeling I'm just going to go with Xset. Maybe that's the unpopular pick because of how badly Xset got smoked last week, but that's what I'm going to rock with. So let's go down the line one more time. For the final time, we have SSG over TSM, Sonics over Mirage, Oxygen over Astralis, Parabellum over Beast Coast, and Xset over Dark Zero. And I just realized I actually picked all of 5 of the teams on the left. So again, yeah, I think if I get 5 out of 5 here, that puts me at 60%. But if I get like 3 or 4, I guess I'm happy, like close to 60%. We've had some surprises, and I could have been a little bit bolder with some of my predictions. I was like super safe most of the time, but I mean, well, I did a lot better this stage than I did last stage. So if you have your own predictions, feel free to leave them below. If you have any other questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, corrections, any of that, feel free to leave it below. And a like and a subscription would also be appreciated. With all of that being said, catch you guys in the next video.